Let's preview Tuesday in the NBA. There are 3 games on. We're going to stream away. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. This is a preview for Tuesday's games. There are only 3 of them on, so we're going to look at some injury updates, some streams of the day, other streaming options, what's on my radar, how we plan for the next 3, 4, 5 days in fantasy basketball. So we'll get into it and look ahead to those, because there are some opportunities that are opening up for us, and we've always got to be ready for things that open up. Let's take a look at where we stand with injuries. Brad Beal has been ruled out, and I did my injury show like an hour ago, and I said, hey, things change so quickly. And at that point, he hadn't been ruled out, and now he has. So I'm getting a little worried about this back injury where Beal has not played so far this season. Hopefully, they've got 3 more games this week. Hopefully, we get something out of Beal. But yeah, really disappointing start to the season, while Devin Booker is listed as doubtful too. I worry about the value of like a Jordan Goodwin rest of this week if those guys play, but they're not playing currently. So it is a risk, especially in a weekly league, to like lock in a Jordan Goodwin when you might only get a game or 2 games out of him. But it's not looking great for Beal and Booker currently, as they are out and doubtful for Tuesday. A bunch of questionable players. We've got Terrence Mann's doubtful. I put the wrong color on him. My bad. Terrence Mann is doubtful for Tuesday for the Clippers. Zubats is questionable. Don Mitchell is questionable. Jarrett Allen is also questionable, as is Darius Garland. And for some reason, I didn't include him on this slide, but Darius Garland is questionable. Garland did not practice. The other 2 did. So it looks like Allen and Mitchell have a higher chance of playing, whereas Garland is less likely, which keeps some of the value up for Strus, LeVert, and Okoro. I'd prefer Strus and LeVert over Okoro, but if all of them miss, Mitchell, Allen, Garland, then the value of Okoro, LeVert, and Strus is obviously a guy we want at the moment because he's flying. I'm not sure it sticks, but they all become 12-team league options with that scenario looking relatively likely. Let's look at the streams of the day. For a 12-team category league, these are all available in over 55% of leagues. I think Cole Anthony's a great stream, and you've heard me talk about trying to plan out for the schedule. There's only 3 games Tuesday, there's 13 Wednesday, and then there's low again on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Magic have 3 quality games this week. Cole Anthony's a great stream. He's been getting good usage and good minutes off the bench, so we love using him for Tuesday, and then you can also hold him for Thursday. For points leagues, it'd be a toss-up between Anthony and LeVert. I am going to run with LeVert there. That would probably drop him down a bit if Garland doesn't play, but he is a strong stream. And like the Magic, the Cavs do have 3 quality games this week as well. For a 14-team league, we're looking at players that are available in over 80% of leagues, and it's got to be Jalen Suggs. He was poor in Game 1 and excellent in Game 2. He's going to bring good defensive stats. He's going to have a starting role. I'm not sure that he's a must-roster 12-team league player, but like I just said with Cole Anthony, the Magic have an amazingly good schedule for the week, so you can just add Suggs even in 12s. Get the value of Tuesday, Thursday, plus another quality game if you want, and you are looking for defensive stats. He's less interesting in points leagues, but he still does work, especially in a 14-team scenario. And then we're going to go back to the Bones Highland well. We're going to 5-minute man our way in for 16-team leagues. This is guys that are available in 90% plus of leagues. There is some doubt about Terrence Mann. He's currently listed doubtful. We know that Kawhi and Paul George are going to play on Tuesday. There's some worry to see how they feel for Wednesday on the back-to-back. I'm fairly confident Paul George plays on Wednesday. Kawhi, I would think he doesn't play. He is also just coming off knee surgery, so I don't think he plays Wednesday, but I do think that Paul George does, which does give extra benefit for Bones Highland if Kawhi does sit. But in 16-team leagues, you can't go wrong here. Would you use Bones on a 16-team league with a 13-game slate on Wednesday? You might. You actually might. He's been getting 20 minutes a night. He's playing pretty strong basketball at the moment, but he's an excellent stream for Tuesday. So our streams of the day, Cole Anthony, Karis LeVert, Jalen Suggs, and Bones Highland, depending on your league size. You can see all of that there. What should we do now? Should we do streamings? No, we won't go quite into the streamings just yet, but what we will do is I'll tell you that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. So you bet on your team, they win, you get $150 in bonus bets back. It's got to be a moneyline bet for $5, and then you get those $150 in bonus bets, and you can use it on the app, which is so easy to use, of course. You can use it on spreads and totals, over-unders, player props, futures, whatever it is, whatever sport it is as well, FanDuel's got you covered. So go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, let's go in now and have a look at some other streaming options. These are guys that are available in over 50% of league. We've got 5 options here. Cole Anthony as my point guard streaming option. Karis LeVert as a shooting guard streaming option. Josh Okogie as a small forward streaming option. Bob Covington as a power forward. And Drew Eubanks if you're looking for some center numbers. Now Eubanks obviously is a backup, but still with the limited amount of players going on Tuesday, he's got value. You could easily slot Mo Wagner in there, who took some minutes off Wendell Carter last time out, so he'd be an option. Even Charlie Bassey, Goldfinger, is another interesting center streaming option, but there is a plethora of guard/forwards or small forwards available with Anthony, LeVert, Okogie. I've got Eric Gordon, Jordan Goodwin, Jalen Suggs, who all actually have 12-team stream value for Tuesday's action, but they are the priorities, I would say. Anthony, LeVert, and Okogie, with Covington and Eubanks. It's a little bit harder to find the power forwards and center eligible players for streaming in. If we look at deeper formats, these guys are all available in over 80% of leagues. We're going with Bones Highland, Jalen Suggs at shooting guard, Eric Gordon at small forward, and Covington and Eubanks still widely available. But as I said, Mo Wagner would work as a stream. John Isaac would work as a stream. Jordan Goodwin is an excellent stream. Grayson Allen jumps into this mix as well. There are, for a 3-game slate, there are a surprisingly large amount of players that I'd feel comfortable using in 12-team leagues as a stream. And even like if you go to 14s and 16s, there's tons of them available who are going to provide a level of value for you, which is just not something you see that often with only 3 games. And sometimes it's pretty barren. There's a lot out there. So just be aware and have a crack at some of these blokes. 2-for-1. So what's a 2-for-1? It's when you use one waiver ad and get 2 games out of it. Don't look at Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. It doesn't mean anything, right? Because there's 13 games on Wednesday. Yes, the Clippers do play the Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. We are aware of that. They play the Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. But you're not going to play, like if you stream in, let's say it's Terrence Mann or Bob Covington, you're probably not going to play them on Wednesday with 13 games on. What you're more interested in is how do I get 2 games out of my one ad? And the way you do that is by looking at Tuesday and looking at Thursday, because they're the 2 low volume days that we are paying attention to. So who are the 2-for-1s that we're looking at here? It's a lot of Magic players and a lot of Suns players. Cole Anthony, Drew Eubanks, Josh Okogie, Jalen Suggs, Jordan Goodwin, Eric Gordon. All excellent streams. And look, we might get 27 minutes out of Anthony. You get 33 out of Okogie, 28 out of Suggs, maybe 30 out of Goodwin, 32 out of Gordon. Goodwin and Gordon sounds pretty close, doesn't it? And then you use 1 waiver ad. So that's 56 minutes, 40 minutes, 66 minutes, 54 minutes, 60 minutes, 65 minutes for 1 waiver ad. Much better than targeting just the one player on those days, even though there can be some useful ones. Like Karis LeVert is going to be a useful player. I've got no question about that. But when we're talking about getting value for money, depending on how your waiver ad situation plays out for the week, you've got to be really cautious of it. So the Cavs played Tuesday, Wednesday, but they don't play Thursday. But then they have a great Friday, Sunday end of the week. So LeVert's got value there, and Strus has got value there, and Okoro's got value there, but you miss out on that Thursday. So that's why it might be useful to grab a Magic or a Cavs player and then you can transition into getting a Cavs guy or Magic or Suns. Then you can get a Cavs guy Friday, Saturday, Sunday and stream through that way. We went through all of those different schedule streaming options over on the weekly preview show, which was out a couple of days ago, so you can go check that out there. Next thing we look at is chunks. So what do I mean by chunks? Well, we look at not just a week, we break it down into a smaller section, and I'm using a 5-day sample here. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's a 5-day sample. How do we maximize our benefits there? So you might have streamed someone in, or you stream someone to do a daily stream, and then let's look at a longer term thing, and then we save another ad for Sunday, right? So how do we get the most games in? Who are the best value players over the next 5 days? And again, it is looking at the Suns and looking at the Magic players. So Cole Anthony, Drew Eubanks, Okogie, Suggs, Gordon, Goodwin. All those guys have 3 games in the next 5 days. I am going to throw in, with a level of hesitancy, I am going to throw in Kobe White into that mix because they do only have 2 games, and he smelt putridly last game, and he has shot horribly. But as you know, there is absolutely no money that you could get me to part with to believe that Kobe White would stay at a 15% three-point shooter, or whatever it is, 18%. He is going to improve. I 100% guarantee you Kobe White is going to improve as a shooter. Will he be a top 100 player this season? I honestly don't know. I think he's on the borderline, probably just outside. And that's sort of how I've believed in it all season. Like, he was a guy that I looked at in round 10, maybe the end of round 9, which is outside top 100. But he's not this bad as a shooter. He is going to improve, I guarantee you. And all this is to say that he's still available in over 50% of leagues, and with a situation here of 2 games over the next 5 nights. There's a little, and 2 quality games actually, which is more important. 2 quality games over the next 5 nights. That does make it a little bit more interesting, but I would understand completely your reticence in using someone when the start of the season for them hasn't been particularly strong, I think is a fair way of putting it in terms of the shooting numbers for Kobe White. Today's episode is also brought to you by the GameTime app. They've got killer last-minute deals. They've got all-in pricing, views from your seat, best price guarantees. They've got event cancellation protections as well. GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. It's easy to find and buy tickets from every kind of event in your area. They throw these flash deals out there as well. They go, hey, something's going on tonight, guy, and we got some discount tickets. You go, hey, I'm not doing anything tonight. Maybe I do want to go see some musical theater. Maybe I do want to go see the NBA game that's happening in my city, and they've got some great deals that happen there. Plus, one of the best things that they've got is their, I can't find the thing where it is, the Game Time guarantee. So you always get the best price. You find tickets in the same section and the same row for less. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So let's go in and check what is on my radar for the coming 3 games. The first game we look at is the New York Knicks. They are taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I do believe that you can drop Josh Hart, but I want to see what they do with him because his minutes have been really, really low, and it is a hard juggling act with Barrett playing well, with Grimes starting, with Brunson still there, whose minutes have also been low, with Quickly off the bench, with DiVincenzo off the bench. There's not enough for Josh Hart to play 30 a night, and for him to play 30 a night, which is 12-team value, he needs someone to get hurt or a complete change in the rotational decisions of Tom Thibodeau, and I don't think that's happening. Let's see if it happens, and let's see what Hart does. But if he's a 22-minute-a-night player, he's not a 12-team league guy. And on the Cavs side of things, well, it is the Winter Soldier who's playing, that's Max Strus. He's playing 1,000,000 minutes. He's rebounding like he's out of control. He's dishing assists. We'll see what happens when Mitchell, Garland, Allen all filter back. I would expect that assist opportunities drop. I would also expect that rebounding opportunities drop. And I would also expect that he's not playing 40 minutes a night because they just have so short-handed and JB Bickerstaff does not trust the back end of his rotation. But let's see what Strus is able to bring. In terms of streaming options, these are all available in over 50% of leagues. For the Knicks, it's probably Hartenstein, but that might not work out. I wouldn't prioritize him, as you see it earlier in the show. But I would really consider Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert. Dracaris is in a really strong spot, especially if one of Garland or Mitchell is out. He could have the ability to shoot 18 times and shoot 28%. So be be really across that and go 4 of 6 from the line and piss on both percentages. But he could also drop 30 points with 7 assists on 80% shooting. That is what he's like, and that is why taking a streamer flyer on him is usually a worthwhile exercise. The next game we take a look at is the Spurs and the Suns. This really could be blowout territory, although there is no Booker, most likely no Booker, and there is no Beal. But the Spurs aren't really good at the moment. I do want to watch what happens with Sohan and Trey Jones, because Sohan had a real stinker last game. Pop did say they are committing to Sohan as a point guard experiment for the whole season. We'll see what that ends up with. I am still holding Sohan at the moment. Jones is fine. Like, he's not going to blow us away. We saw Trey Jones as a starter last season. It was totally mid. Like, it was okay, but if you don't have him, it's okay. Like, his assist numbers are useful, but is he going to play 33 a night? I don't really think so. So watching the Sohan, Trey Jones interplay to see how the minutes go. Does Sohan improve? Like, he was shithouse last game, but he was really good the game before. I want to see that. I want to really pay strong attention to that, honestly. Obviously, we'll always want to watch a Wembanyama, and we want to see if Keldon Johnson shoots better than 11% from the field, which is what he did last game. For the Suns, it is Jordan Goodwin, who I think is a really interesting stat-stuffing fantasy player, and with Beal and Booker likely out, he's going to get pretty strong minutes, and he's going to be a very useful streaming option. On the Spurs side of things, in terms of streamers, the only real one who's available is Chetty Osman. Now, they do have a pretty strong schedule here, the Spurs. The problem is that Osman's not a particularly good player, but they play... where's their schedule? They play Tuesday, Thursday. So if you did want in a deeper format to get those 2 games in and you miss some of those Magic or Suns players, Osman's going to be the guy. But it's also why you shouldn't drop Sohan or why you shouldn't drop Trey Jones, because they've got this really strong schedule coming up here. And then on the Sun side, there's a million streams. I do like Goodwin. I do like Okogie. I do like Gordon. I like Grayson Allen a little bit less. I like Drew Eubanks. I'm just going to throw Jordan Goodwin into that mix, because now that we do have confirmation that Beal is out and Booker is doubtful, it does really help Goodwin, especially for that game. And then the last game of the night is the Magic traveling to take on the Clippers. Markelle Fultz apparently hurt his hand at the end of the last game, and that hurt some of his minutes. Let's see, can he push back to 30? I don't think that Fultz has got any chance of playing like 33 a night, but he's only been getting 24, 25. I'd love to see that push back up. And it's not because that Suggs is starting or Anthony's playing 28. Anthony was playing 28 a night last night. There is still plenty of room for Fultz to play his 28, 29. But we want to see how that shakes out. And then for the Clippers, Russell Westbrook's had some stinkers. He had a really good game last time out. I always want to monitor what Westbrook's minutes are and how they interact with Paul George and Kawhi. The percentages can be rough. We know this. He is obviously a 12. Someone called me out for saying that, you didn't mention he's a 12-team must roster. He is, clearly, in points. Absolutely no question. Even in 10-team points, he's a must roster. Categories, it's borderline. And it depends on how your team looks. He is going to get some numbers. But we've seen rebound, assist, and usage rates all drop from Russ since he's joined the Clippers, which takes some of the appeal and it makes it harder to deal with some of his poor percentages. In terms of streams, while Cole Anthony's the guy that we're looking at here, and even Norman Powell on the Clipper side is available in 50% of leagues. And while I don't love Powell as a must-roster player, for Streaming Tuesday, he's got some value, although we do try and prioritize Magic and Suns players so we can use them on Thursday as well. And that will do it for me today. A short show for a daily look ahead because there is only 3 games on. Follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app and on YouTube. Thumb it up and leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.